This is a full guide on how I would rank a stump grinding service in Portland, Oregon. We're going to go through 6 phases. So we're going to start off with the foundation phase, then we're going to move on to on page, and then we're also going to move on to local and doing some city silos. In the fourth phase, we're going to focus on the content and authority of the pages. Then in the fifth one, we're going to focus on entities. Then for the sixth and final phase, we're going to work on CRO or conversion rate optimization and maturity of the site. So for the first phase of how I would rank a stump grinder in Portland, Oregon, what I would do is first we're going to search the keyword. This is going to give us a lot of information of what is currently ranking. It's also going to tell us what it takes to currently rank. By just searching the term, we can get a lot of information of what we need to do on our site so that we can ensure that it ranks above our competitors. And so the first search I see is we've got a few of these almost exact match names on the Google Business Profile, which is great, which tells us that we also need to be doing something similar to our profile. When we scroll down a little bit, we can look at their services and we can see that they do a mixture of some other tree services. But in relation to us, since we're just currently going to rank a stump grinder, we're going to look at the keywords and the services that they are targeting so that we have a better understanding of what we need to be targeting. So we can see here that they've already started to use grinding and removal. So this is what I would consider a keyword variation. Why this is important is that you want to cover a lot of the keyword variations used in your service. Not only is this a signal to Google that, hey, we have all these keyword variations on our page, we are relational to the top level keyword. As an example for now, we'll just say stump grinding is our top level keyword. We have all of these keyword variations around that. This not only shows Google, hey, because we have all of these relational words to the top level keyword, we're about this keyword, it will also help us show in search when someone goes into Google and types in these keyword variations, right? Because not everyone searches the same. People have different views or interpretations of what the service is and what the service is called. So if we don't have these variations on our page and our competitors do, we may lose out on that traffic. So something to consider when you go to rank a page is that you also want to have the variations associated with your service. Now, if we go down a little bit further, we can also see that they have stump grinder, stump grinding and stump removal, stump grinding customer, tree grinding. That's a little bit separate than stump grinder, but we can see stump grind. They've got stump grinder capitalized and uncapitalized. Then they've got the verb tense. They've got grinding. They've got stump removal and then stump remover. That's another interesting variation of our top level keyword that we need to consider. What we're also going to do is we're going to scroll down here and we're going to start looking at the search results or the web pages that are currently ranking. And what I'm looking for is I want to see what their domain name is, right? I want to see if they have the keyword in their domain name. So if they have the top level keyword in their domain name, that makes it a little bit more competitive. It's not a huge thing, but it is something that we need to be cognizant of. We need to be aware of our current competition. What are they using for their domain name? Some other things I'm looking for is what do they put in their title tags and what are they putting in their meta descriptions? A third thing that I'm looking for here is what is Google bolding? Now, why is it important to look at what Google is bolding? It's because Google is bolding it for a reason. This shows us what we need to be using on our pages because those terms are relevant to the search query. All Google is trying to do all day is solve the user's search query. By proxy, it has these processes to which it finds these relevant terms that go with services. For this specific service in this area, it is highlighting or it is bolding these terms. So just what does this mean for us is that we need to use these terms on our page. Google thinks they're relevant. So we can see here we got stump grinding and removal. It's listing the city. We did search the city in our search terms, so that makes sense. Then we've also got the phone number is bolded. Then we've also got stump grinding services, stump grinding, and then we also have Portland, Oregon. We go scroll down here as well. We got elite tree service. So this is interesting. So something to notice to match is that this Google Business Profile's top level category is tree service. Then when we come down here, Google is bolding this term tree service again. And then also we can see in their domain name, they've got tree service. Let's see for this one, they've got tree care. For this one, chip away. And then this one is PDX stump grinding. Okay, so that's something to note. We've got an exact match. Now, most people will, when they see Yelp in the search results, most people will be intimidated or scared. Personally, this to me means it's a little bit of a lower competition. Now, the reason why I say that is because, yes, as a whole, Yelp has a ton of authority, but how authority will go down a web page or a website is that you have to think of it as like a tree branch. But when you think about it like a tree branch, you start from the start of the branch and then you go down and then you have all these other branches, right? So that's kind of how authority works as just an easy like one-to-one explanation. All of the authority is at the start of the branch. All of these pages at the end of the branch are going to have less and less authority, and also they're going to have less and less backlinks. So now if we were to look at the top level, if we were just go to yelp.com and look at how many backlinks they had at that top level domain, they're going to have probably millions. And we're not going to beat yelp.com. But because of how their site is set up and they have all of these directory folders, or basically it's just a category folder, right? So it would go yelp.com/tree services as an example. Because that is so far away from the homepage, it's losing a majority of the authority that the homepage has. Now, because Yelp is so powerful, it is still getting a ton of power to those leaves on the end of the branches. But what we can do is we can just simply send a press release. A really good press release is going to get you from like 300 to 350 backlinks and around maybe like that amount in referring domains as well. And then we can instantly beat them on backlinks just because our page has a press release towards it. Or maybe we do some citations, some local citations, and we start getting backlinks that way, or from social profiles, right? And so if we start building our backlinks and our authority to those pages, you can easily beat Yelp. Now let's scroll down a little bit further, see if there's any more. So very good stump grinding. So again, another exact match. Then we have OregonStumpGrinding.net. So that is a really exact match because it's also got the state in it. Now, one thing I want to touch on with this Oregon Stump Grinding, they are doing an exact match domain, right? So anybody that they're trying to service in Oregon, if they grind stumps, they are exactly targeting that search term. I recommend putting a keyword in your domain name, but I do not recommend putting the state or the area, like a geographic. So if you were to think, I wouldn't do PortlandStumpGrinding.net. And the reason of that is because when you put the city or the area in the domain name, when you go to expand, that domain name has that city in the name. So it's not going to rank in another city. It's going to be way more difficult to rank that. Now, what you can do is, let's say you have a brand name like Charles Stump Grinding. If you did Oregon Charles Stump Grinding, and then you went and bought a new domain name, for when you go to a different state. So like let's say you did California Charles stump grinding, then that would work. But typically you do not want to put the city or the state in the name, because then if you do go to expand, you're almost going to have to buy a new domain name. And then also the same thing goes for when you go to name your business, or when you go to put the name on your Google business profile, you don't want to put that state or that city in the name. Now, unless you're okay with staying in that city or that state, then absolutely do it. But when you go to expand, I would recommend getting a do business as and change it so that you can start ranking in that new city you're starting to serve. Now, so we've done this research. We looked a little bit over what is currently ranking, what are our competitors kind of slightly doing. So next, we're going to do a little bit of keyword research. This is a free tool by Google. You have to set up an account and get your credit card added, but after that, you can go to Google Ads and then you can go to their keyword planner. And here is where it's going to give us some of the search data or the amount of times keywords are searched for. Now, do not take this data straight to heart. This data is still a little bit off. This is more of like a big paintbrush. It's going to give us a big guideline, right? It's going to show us kind of like where to head into the right direction. And so our top level keyword of removal, what we can see is that Google is giving us these keyword ideas and we can see how much people are on them, like the top of the range, the bottom of the range. We can also see the monthly searches. And so some other keywords relational to this, we can see is tree stump removal, stump grinding near me, stump removal near me, stump grinding, tree stump removal near me. Now, when we go to do this research, we want to go through and see how are people searching, what words are they using, what combinations of words are they using, so that we have a better understanding of what we need to be targeting. You can include to broaden your search. I've already done that on this page. And so I've included, we've got stump removal, tree stump removal, stump grinding service, tree grinding service. And so adding all these additional terms, we're going to get more and more a broader search of the keywords that people are searching for, so we have a better idea of what keyword we want to target. Then another great and free tool by Google is Google Trends. So I put in stump removal, and what we can see here is the amount of times that a keyword is being searched. Now, what I want to caveat that with is this is relational. So what that means is that this isn't the whole amount of times the keyword is being searched. This is showing you how much it's being searched relational to itself of how much it was previously searched, right? So an easier way of explaining this is that let's say this says 18, right? But in reality, what it means is that it's been searched 100,000 times. Now, since this is relational to itself, when we go over here and it says it's 100, this actually means that it's been searched 1.5 million times. This is just to give like a representation of this information, is that it's not going to show you the exact amounts that this search term is being searched for. So then when we scroll down here, from our top level keyword, or this phrase that we put in up here at the top, stump removal, right? When we scroll down here, it's going to show us the top queries that are similar to what we put in, right? Google says right here, people who search for stump removal also search these queries. And so what we can do is we can start adding and taking away these queries, mix and matching them to get a better understanding of what keyword we would want to be targeting. And again, now that we've added more words to Google Trends, what this is doing is it's showing us how much these are searched for in relation to each other. This is not the total amount of times that it's being searched. This is telling us out of all of these, comparatively, what is being searched for more often. So when we come here and we look, we can see that stump removal and stump grinding are the two best performing search terms. Now, this doesn't mean that we would want to go and specifically target them, right? We're still in the research phase. We're still trying to understand this keyword, this service that people search for. Now, how I got these up here is when you go down here, you can click this three little dots and you can click add to comparison. Next, what I like to do is you can hit this little search button right here and it will go and search that keyword. Now, because I'm not in Portland, Oregon, I have to add Portland, Oregon to the search term so that Google knows, hey, he's looking for results there. So one big thing that I like to do is when we go to search these terms is I want to see what is popping up. If Google Business Profiles are popping up, these websites are popping up, this is great. This means that Google has classified this search term as a service-based search term. I'm just going to go down through all of these. I just want to see what is Google currently serving me so I have a better understanding of what does Google think that is relevant to these search terms. Because if Google starts feeding me news sources or if it starts feeding me Wikipedia articles, this may not be a service term I want to search with. So when we do stump removal, Portland, Oregon, and then we do stump removal, Beaverton, Oregon, we're seeing a little bit of the difference of who is currently ranking in these areas. So now we've got stump removal and we've got stump tree removal. And we can see a little bit of the search results have changed up a bit. We can see Portland Tree Co. So they've got the city and they also got the keyword tree in there. We can look at their services. So there we go, tree stump grinding. And again, we're just looking at these to get a better understanding of what is currently working and what do we need to consider doing on our profile. And what's interesting is that none of these have the phrasing. None of them have tree stump removal. So this might be something that we can easily add and actually show up for it because they're not putting it. Interesting. So that's something we can note down. Let's look at another profile just to see what they're doing. I personally wouldn't add all these emojis. I don't know why they're doing that. Also, something about services is that normally nobody can see these. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to tree stump Portland, Oregon. And so what we can see here is the Google Business Profiles aren't front and center like they were for the other searches. So to me, this would signal maybe this isn't a term I would want to target, but we still have to do a little bit more research. But like we said at the beginning, now we can start to see some of these bolded terms. And so looking at these bolded terms, a stump grinding company in Portland, Oregon, to me, this is signaling that Google thinks that this is a service, so it might be safe to target. Then we got a blog there. Then the Google Business Profiles are here at the bottom. So this may be because of all my other search terms. Google may be trying to feed me this. So this is probably a keyword I wouldn't want to target. Now, if we go tree stump removal, we can see here, this is interesting. So they only have forest. They don't have the keyword in their name, which is something to note. Some other things we can see in the profiles, they got this nice long video. They've got a whole bunch of photos of the guys working. We can scroll down here a little bit. Something that I like to do also is Google is classifying these reviews. When we look at these reviews, we can see that we've got deadwood removal, street tree pruning, patio sweeping, we got full prune, shrub trimming, tree pruning, and what's interesting is there's no stump removal, but from these classifications, or this, Google is categorizing these, right? This is giving us more and more information of how Google will put certain terms or certain phrases or words and classify them. This gives us a better understanding of how Google thinks and what Google thinks of what is currently being displayed or shown in these reviews and how it relates or it satisfies users' search queries because it places these categorizations. Let's see if we can find one with the stump removal. So we can see how Google classifies this service, or from the review data, how it's saying stump removal. Notice how it's not saying stump grinding, stump grinder, tree stump removal, tree stump grinder. Notice how it's very specific to stump removal. This is important because it tells us how Google thinks of and classifies these terms. And then it's also interesting to see some other terms of what the people were saying about the service, so that we have a better understanding of how to address the copy on the page, so that we know what are their pain points. So what I like to do is, when I get a new industry or a new business category I haven't served before, I will crawl like a couple hundred Google business profiles. I will take all of the review data and I will look at all of the negative reviews. From the negative reviews, I know exactly what pain points I need to address in my copy. From all this review data, I can also get a better understanding of how people talk about the service. When someone goes to write the review, they leave information of how they think about the service, and I can get a better understanding of what they would search and how I can target those search terms from all of this review data, because they're writing it in their own words. So they think about it in their own way. Now I have a better understanding of how they would think about going and searching in Google for that specific service. And so, taking all this review data, not only do I get a better understanding of what they would search for, but I also get a way better understanding of how Google thinks about the data. Okay, so now we're going to scroll down a little bit more. We're going to see mostly tree cares. So we got stump grinding again, another exact match. So not too many exact matches here. We got a .gov site, local tree care providers. And then we have treeservice.com. So you got some exact match. You got a little bit of keywords in there as well. So then we're going to move on to this next search term. So we searched stump removal near me, Portland, Oregon, because from the Google Trends, we saw that this was a search term. And what's interesting is, because they have stump grinding Oregon in their name, Google only pulled up their profile, which is super interesting. Also, something to be aware about: when you go up to set your Google Business profile and you go to list your links on any directories, any of your backlinks, anywhere externally from your site and internally, what you need to make sure is that if you have a www version of your URL, which is just www.yourdomain.com, okay? If you have that, then all of the links you place on your social profiles, all the links you post on your citations, your directory sites, anything external needs to have that www version in those citations, in those backlinks. If you put a non-www, right? If you just put :/ and then your domain.com, you're losing out on power from those backlinks, because Google is going to crawl those and give that power to that non-www version of your site. So make sure whenever you go to list your URLs anywhere, you're staying true to that www or non-www version of your website, especially on your Google Business profile. If those are not matching, you're losing out. Okay. So now we are looking at stump grinding Portland, Oregon. And so we're starting to get Google Business profiles again, which is great. We can start looking at some of these names. So they've got the exact match domain, and they got tree removal, stump grinding, which is great. They got directions, verified address, which is highly recommended. We'll go to services, look what they got. They got stump grinder, stump grind, grinding, removal, remover. We'll go down here. That's great. They got their branding on that machine, and that's the first photo on the Google Business Profile machine. This is great. And they got a whole bunch of photos of them working. This is awesome. That's a good profile. So real quick, for this profile, I did an analysis. We looked over 1,300 Google Business profiles, and what we found is that if you list 15 services on your Google Business profile, and then you add a description to each of those services on your profile, you will beat close to 90% of your competition. Of those 1,300 Google Business profiles we looked at, that's all it took to beat 90% of them was to add 15 services with descriptions. Okay, so now that we have the keyword research a little bit out of the way, what we're going to do is we're now going to work on the foundation. So when I will first go to work with a client, what we'll do is I will first things first is I'm going to buy a press release. So what that's going to do is that's going to send over 300 backlinks, around 300 referring domains to the site and to the Google Business profile. Now, whenever you go to get a press release, make sure you embed your Google Business profile in the press releases if you want it to rank. Having those 300 referring domains, all that backlinks to not only your website, but to your Google Business profile is going to help you rank. It is a ranking factor. Now, so first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to send that press release. Now, when you go to send a press release, it could take a couple weeks to a month or two for all of that power to go to your website and to go to your Google Business profile. So while all of that is happening in the background, and this is also why this is one of the first things I want to do, is I want to send a press release right off the bat. What this is going to do is 9 times out of 10 with certain search results in certain areas and certain services, one press release is all it takes to beat your competition when it comes to the amount of referring domains or to the amount of backs that they have. When you go and look, you're going to see like maybe 10 to like 125 of those referring domains in certain services in certain areas. Now, if you go look at DUI Lawyer Los Angeles, you're not going to rank with one press release. That's going to take years, and that's going to take like 50 grand in backlinks. That is not something that is easily done with one press release. Same thing with like payday loans. But the other 9 times out of 10, you can get away with one good press release and you can easily beat out 90% of your competition. So first things first, we're just going to have a simple landing page set up. This is just going to be here so that when we go to send that press release, it has somewhere to link to. It's all going to come back to here. We're just going to have a simple landing page just set up. It's got your phone number. It's got the things you need for them to send a photo of the stump so you can quote them. We're going to have a little bit of a about section. Then down here, as an example, this is where you want to embed your Google Business profile. You got your little form fill out right here. And then you got your hours down here. And this is when we're going to start building out the schema as well. Now, this is just a visualization of what schema looks like. So we've got the local business schema. We've got the area we serve. And then we also have the address of the business. Schema is a language made by all of the major search engines. So you've got Google, you got Yahoo, you've got Bing, and then you also have Yandex. And this is a JSON LD format I've used on my site. And what this does is this is specifically made by all of the largest search engines. It is a language that helps them better understand what your page is about. So simply right here, we're a local business for our type, the name of our business. We've got a little short description here. This is the URL. This is the page, homepage. We got our number, city, the areas we serve, our address, and then our opening hours, right? So this is just the beginning of building out all of the schema. So we've done all the keyword research. We've got our homepage set up. We optimized our Google Business profile. We put 15 services on there. When we've put descriptions on there. We've got a press release sent out, and we're just waiting for that to get searched for and indexed. And now, after all of that's done, we're going to move on to phase 2. So Phase two of ranking a stump grinder in Portland, Oregon is we had the homepage for a while. We're a couple weeks into waiting for our press release to get indexed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start building out more and more of these trust signals on the page. And when I say trust signals, what I mean is now we have a privacy policy. We've got a terms of service page. Then also we have now a services page. And the services page is going to host all of the services we offer, right? So we're going to go over here. This is our privacy policy. This is something Google will check. Just having one set up is going to be a trust signal to Google. Then we also have a terms of service page, which is also a trust signal to Google, like, hey, we're a real business. We've got this privacy policy page. We also have this terms of service page. On our service page, this is where we are going to actually target the service or the keyword we want to rank for. I personally don't like setting the home page to be the page that ranks for the keyword, right? I would rather have it be a service page. And so on this service page here, what we can see is we're targeting stump grinding. We've got the city, and then we also have the state. Then we got our phone number on here. Make sure the phone number is the correct area code as well. And then as we go down this page, what we're going to see is that we've got a little bit of keyword variation, right? So we've got professional stump grinding. We have got stump removal across Portland. Then what you'll start to see is that we got some bolded terms. Bolding terms on your page is a ranking factor. Using listicles on your page is a ranking factor, in the type of content and the type of keywords and the keyword variations that you put, that you bold and put in your listicles will help you rank. Not only that, you can also italicize certain words, right? So as we go through here, what we're going to see is that stump grinder is bolded, stump removal is bolded. We go down here, below grade, root grinding, and another way to get an understanding of, okay, so what words should I bold? You're going to want to bold your top level keyword. So for ours, it's going to be stump grinding. Then we're going to also want to do the keyword variations off of that, right? And then some other similar services or other words that are in relation to that top level service. So right here, we got root grinding, we got below grade, and also another way to get these bolded terms that you want to use on your page is when you go to search your term in Google, we want to look at what is Google bolding, and this will help us know, okay, so not only do we need these words on our pages, but we also need to have these on our page. Google is bolding these terms for a reason. And this is also one way to tell what words should we have on our page to bold. So we're going to keep going through here. As we go through, we've got stump grinding, stump removal again. We've got grinding just as a keyword by itself. Then we also are going to answer how much the service costs in this area, our stump grinding process. Then we also have a little bit of an FAQ down here. So we got Portland on the page. What's the difference between stump grinding and stump removal? Do you grind below grade and chase the roots? Right? This is a big one. In the review data that we mined, we can see that a lot of people hate when there's roots left over. So we want to address this in the FAQ. And then another big thing is in the review data, people will often complain about not cleaning up after doing the grinding. And then this is our services page. So this is just phase two, right? We're slowly building out the website. We're waiting for Google to find our press release, to get those links indexed, discovered, and giving us power to our site. While we're slowly building this out, we're also going to go through and increase the schema quite a bit. What we want to do with the schema, the end goal with the schema is so that Google won't even have to crawl the page, because we've already taken the work upon ourselves to go and give all the information about the page without them having to even crawl it. And we're also giving it to them in a format that they prefer, right? Because Google and all of the other search engines have come together to make this language so that it's easier for them to understand the pages. And so we want to talk to them in a language they've gone out of their way to make, okay? So now we're going to start including founder schema. And for our founder, I just made up Marcus Aurelius. And in this, we're going to go and we're just going to keep feeding and feeding more and more data to Google so it has a better understanding not only of our business, what we know about, the areas we serve, who the owner is, what the business is about, what the business does. So as we can see here, so we've got founder, and we're going to build this out a little bit later. We've got website. So we're telling Google, hey, this is a website. Here's our pages. Here's our URLs, the name of the website. So Stump Services Near Me. Publisher. We're also going to tell Google what language the website's in. It's in English. Then on this specific page, we're going to tell it a little bit about what is on this specific page. This page is part of this website, right? And then about this page, we're going to give it an ID, and we're going to expand on this more later. Right now, we're just building the foundation. We're just giving it a understanding currently of what is going on. Now, that was of the home page. This schema is on our services page. So when we scroll down here, we're going to see a lot more information. Now here we have the service schema. This is on our services page. Our service is stump grinding, right? Boom. We're telling Google right now, service type stump grinding. We have the name, then we have a little short description. So here we can get more and more, not only of our keywords, our keyword variations, we can start getting some LSI keywords in there and some entities in there. So we offer this service, stump grinding, right? Area served, we tell Google in their own language that they made up that we serve this city, Portland, and this city is contained in the state of Oregon, right? The provider, our offers, we're going to tell them a price range right here. Then we also have a breadcrumb list, and what this does is it tells Google where we came from to get to this page. So as we can see here, the first one was we got the home page, the second one services, and then the third one is we got to the stump grinding page. The services page is just a hub that will hold all the links to all your other service pages. Then as we go down, we have FAQ schema. So we're answering frequently asked questions. In this schema, not only can we specifically address certain questions that people ask, we can also add text to that. So then on our page in the raw code, we're getting even more keywords. We're getting even more and more and more information about us, about our service. And this is what we're going to use to rank above our competitors. As we go through each and every single one of these FAQs, we just got more text, more information, and more of those LSI keywords and more of those entities in relation to the service that we offer. So that was phase 2. We're building out our service page. We're starting to build out more and more of our schema. We've got some founder schema in there. We also have some FAQ schema. We got area served. We have our service schema. And then we also started building out our terms of service, our privacy policy page. We're still in that like 2 to 3 week waiting for our press release to get indexed from Google to start giving our site authority. So now, this is phase 3 of how to rank a stump grinder in Portland, Oregon. We're going to work more on our local pages and our city pages. So now, we're starting to beef up the home page, right? Where about a month, 2 months in, we're going to start adding some trust signals on the page, why people call us back. Then we're going to start linking out to our service page. We now have areas we serve. So we have a location hub that lists all of our location areas. We've got a little bit of a meet the owner card. Then down here, we're going to start building out our reviews, right? So we want to add another layer of trust. When people come to see our site, they can see, okay, they have all this reviews. Let me go look at them. Let me look at the photos. Let me look at the quality of the job. And what I really love about this is that not only are we touching on the trust factors, right? People can read this, they can see the service that we provide, the quality of the service we provide, what other people have said about us. We can also use this content to our advantage. we can take all of this text from our review data and we can place it on our site. So when you go to think about optimizing your content, you're thinking about, okay, how do I get all of this text on the page, right? Let's say your goal is to hit 3,000 words. Instead of typing that all in the main body of the content and making your customers read that, what we can do instead is we can have these certain areas on page that are what's considered below the fold, where we can start to implement all of our SEO. We can start to enhance our ranking factors without diminishing our customers' experience on the page. And so here is a very clear example of that. In this, I made it so it's scrollable. So I can hide up to as many reviews as I wanted to. Not only that, because we know that bolding terms is a ranking factor, I can go through here and bold all of the LSI keywords. I can bold all the L entities. I can bold all of the just the top level keyword, the keyword variations. And so this is another way to kind of hide the SEO that you apply on the page, right? We don't want to just keyword stuff the main body of the content because we still want our customers to have a good experience when they come to view our site. What's also great about this is when we pull the reviews, we can also pull the images. So it's going to touch on two things. Not only can they look at the image of our work, but then we can start to also the file name of that image, we can put keywords in. Not only that, what we can do is for the alt text on the image, we can also put keywords, keyword variations, LSI terms, entities, and those as well. And so that will also give a whole bunch of information, content to Google to get a better understanding of what is going on in our site. And this will all help us rank higher. Then we'll scroll down here. So now that we're in phase 3, what we're going to start to do is we're going to start to build out our areas pages. So we already built out our privacy, our terms of service. We got a service page. And so we'll also look at those as well. But first, I just remembered, we're going to look at the schema real quick. So this is a better visualization of what is currently going on our page. This is showing us the relations that we have going on when we add certain things in our schema. So we have our local business, right? For our local business, we see we have the schema that's area served. We have Happy Valley. We've got all of these other areas served. And so what we're doing is we're telling Google, in its own language that it's made up specifically for this, hey, these are all the areas we serve. So these are the areas you would want to rank us for when someone's in that area searching for our term. Not only do we have the areas served in our schema, but we also have those individual pages, those individual web pages, so we can target in those areas to rank us. We also have some review data. So in the review data, we have who's the author, and then we also can put the rating, if we got a 5-star or a 1-star or in between. Then not only that, we can put the content of the review on our page again, right? So we have that hub that shows all of this review data. Then we can put it in the schema again. And so we're just continuously adding more and more content, adding more and more of these search terms, these LSI terms, these entities, everything in relation to our service, so Google has a complete and better understanding of what we do, what service we offer. So when we go and look at the schema now in its format, its JSON format, we can see here all of the areas served. So we've got Lake, Oswego, we got Oregon City, Happy Valley, Vancouver. We've got Marcus Aurelius, our founder. And then we also have our aggregate rating. Whenever you go and search in Google, if you've ever seen it before, there's that little star rating at the bottom. To get this star rating right here, you have to add schema. Schema gets you what this is called as a rich results. Schema is the reason why this happens. Now, for me personally, I'm going to click on a site that has this because I see the star rating. It's instantly a trust factor, right? And so this is one of the many benefits of having schema on your site. Now in the schema, we're going to do our hours. We can also mark these images, and later what we'll do is we'll add a description to this to get even more content on the page. So we can see here, we've got the website, we've got reviews, and see, look here, in this review body, this is just more and more content, more and more words that I can get on the page to describe more and more about me and what I do. And we're just feeding this straight to Google in its own language. Now, we're going to view page source, and something that we can do is we can start searching for these keywords, and we can slowly see that over time, the amount of times these keywords show up are just going to keep getting more, more, and more. And then also another thing, because we have what would be a exact match domain, when we have links on our page, those are going to help us with getting more keywords on our page. Because think about it. If we have 10 links out, right, and our keyword is in our URL, that is 10 additional keywords on page. Now, let's say you had 10 pages and each page has 10 links. You just got 100 times more the amount of that specific keyword all across your whole site. And so this is just an illustration of how we're just going to keep getting more, and more content, keywords, entities, whatever on pages. So we got this review body. We're putting the review data in here. And let's say you had a couple hundred reviews. You could technically put them in here. And if they start getting pretty verbose, you can almost have an entirely different website in your schema because there's so much content in it. And ultimately, that is our goal. Or that's my goal with my client sites. So now we are starting to build out our hubs, right? This is going to be our area hub. Now, one big thing about creating hubs is what they do is they allow Google to easily find your pages. A big thing that I harp on is that every page should be found from the home within 3 clicks. And an easy way to achieve this is to have these pages I would call hubs. You can also think of them as categories as well. So some big ones are areas you serve, services you offer, and then the last one is a blog, right? What we want to do is if Google goes to the homepage, crawls the homepage, sees that we have a link to our services area page, it will click to that, it will crawl our service area page, and then it will find all of those URLs, go to those URLs and crawl those. And then let's say that that's the only hub we had. That would be what's called a full crawl. It would get to all of our pages. Because we have these hubs, it makes it super easy for Google to go from page to page to page and get a full list of all the URLs. If we had it so that it would have to go to the home page, a service page, another service page, another service page, and that last page had no links from any other page, it could take days, weeks, or even a month for Google to find that page because we have no internal linking structure. So that's why we want to have these hubs. So when Google goes to our blog page and we have 130 blogs, all the URLs are on there. So Google can go and like, okay, I will take all these URLs. I will then put them in my log. So then I know that I need to go and crawl these. So instead of Google having to do that process on 5 different pages to get to the 6th page because you orphaned a page and you have no links to it, it will then now have that blog page that is a hub with all the URLs to all your blogs so Google can go and crawl everything and find it easily. So now we have our areas page, right? We have links to all of the areas we serve. We're just slowly building out the site. We're just slowly getting more and more content, more and more pages. We're telling Google more about what we do, what we offer, where we offer it, how we offer it, what service we provide. And so we're just, all these pages are just slowly building up. We're still bolding these terms. We're telling Google this is what we're about. Even in the schema, we're telling it the same exact thing. So we have all of these pages, all of these major cities or little cities around Portland. Then we've also, I'm going to close these. we've also started to SEO optimize our service page, our main service that we want to rank for. We started adding some more conversion rate optimizations. We've added these trust signals. We've added even more content. We took the reviews from the homepage and we basically just used it as a template and we moved it over to this page. This, because we're able to reuse this, is going to give us an easy way to get content on the page that is relevant, on topic, and just it's going to be an easy way to get more information for Google to understand more about us. Instead of having to rewrite everything over and over slightly different, we can just have these cards and use them. Now, on this service page, we've got another addition to Schema. We have more FAQ. We have more FAQ Schema, which just gets more and more content on the page, more LSI terms, more entities, and also using Schema by itself as a ranking factor. Getting the different types of Schema on your page is a ranking factor. Now, as we keep building and building, notice how our keyword is going up and the total amount we're using it. Now we're at 140 times using the keyword stump. Now, if we had a space, we're at 81. Let's see if we did grind. We're at 38. Let's see if we did removal. We're at 15. If we did grinder, we're at 6. And so by using more and more of these terms on page, Google's going to have a way better understanding of what we're about. So that is phase 3 of building out all of our service area pages, building out our... Did we get to the blog? No. So building out all of our service area pages and then our service page hub as well. Then we're also increasing our schema. We're getting those service area pages with relevant content specific to those areas, right? To that specific area. Now we're going to move on to phase 4. Phase 4 of ranking a stump grinder in Portland, Oregon. So we're going to work on content and authority in this section. So now we've added a image to the hero of the homepage. As we scroll down here, we still got a link to our service page. We've got our area served, a meet owner, review section. Then we also have down here, we've got our Google map embed. We've also added a blog. So we're going to go through here. We're going to look at our service, our areas, our blog, and we also added an about page. What we're going to do is we're going to look at our schema and see what we've built up on it. So we've got our local business schema. We've got our image. We've got the areas we serve. Contact point. We're also telling Google, hey, we are located in this very specific geo area. We've got our aggregate rating, and that's how you get this on Google. That's how you get that little rich results. Our hours, our website. We've got some review schema. And then now we're going to start to work into person schema. And why we're doing this is because we want Google to know who we are, more about us, and the things that we know about, the things that we understand, the things that we do, right? If we have certain certifications, certain other information about us. Now, what we can do here is we can tell Google, hey, this thing we know about. The name of this is stump grinding, and we can give it a knowledge graph ID, and then we can also give it a Wikipedia link and a Wikidata link. All of these are external sources to create what would be considered like a knowledge graph. So Google's already aware of what stump grinding is, and it has all of these external resources that we are identifying with this URL that this is the same as those sources that Google already knows about, that Google already has a whole bunch of history. It's done all the research. It knows almost everything it can about stump grinding. We are linking to those very specifically. So Google's like, oh, okay, so this giant knowledge graph that I have, this knowledge data that I have of this specific term, stump grinding, you're linking to it. Okay, so you're about this thing. You're the same as. Then not only are we doing that, we're saying tree stump as well. So let's go and look actually at this, right? Let's go and look at the Wikipedia page. This will make it make more sense. So by linking to this, we are telling Google that all of this information is relevant to us. This is something more about us. We're telling Google what we're more about, what to think about us, what are we relational to. So we're taking all of the work away from Google having to figure more out about us. And we're saying, hey, that very specific thing you already know about and have all of this information about, hey, we are that thing. We're relational to that. So just look at all this free information we don't have to do anything about. What I mean when I say that is that we don't have to put this on our pages. We still will and we still can. But because we have all of this external knowledge data or this like knowledge graph data from Google, from Wikipedia, is that this prevents us from having to go into. So look at all of this information that we're saying to Google, hey, we're relevant to this. We're telling Google, hey, we're an arborist. Hey, we're telling Google that we're all of this information. And then not only that, from this Wikipedia article and from this wiki data, Google then has other information, like other things it knows about that are in relation to this. So then what it starts to do is kind of similar to what the schema looks like visually, is that it's going to start building this out and get a better understanding of who you are and what you're about. Okay, so that's the schema we've been slowly building out. We're going to close all of that. So this is our service area hub. We're going to go to our main service page. We can see here we've got some trust signals to convert people to get our service. We're talking more and more about our service. We've got all of this additional content. And because we built the page out like this, it doesn't look like a lot, but when we go and use this Chrome extension, Ahrefs, which I highly recommend, what we can see is that we actually have 3,500 words on page. Yes, this is 3,500 words on page because we've SEO optimized it in my way, right? We're not doing these long, huge, giant, like skyscraper articles or having these giant bodies of text or paragraphs. We're basically stationing it in a manner so that it's not hurting the customer's journey or experience. What we're also going to do is we're going to look at the images. So from the images that we pulled from our reviews right here, we have yet to SEO optimize them or add alt text to them yet. But when we do that in the next phase of SEO optimizing for this is just going to add even more and more content and structure to our pages so Google gets a better understanding of what we're about. And we're going to go look through the schema again. So let's see here. Okay. So that's our main service page, right? We're keyword targeting stump grinding in Portland, Oregon. So now we're going to move over to our service area pages. And so each of these pages are individually targeting cities around Portland. And we've got 7 of these. Okay, so now in phase 4, what we've done is we're going to start building out blog content. And so we've got 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 blogs here. And the whole purpose, so the whole purpose of blogs and these other service pages for me, or these service areas, these location pages, is that what we're wanting to do is tell Google that we are authoritative with the service that we offer. We know a ton about this service, right? We also know all of the things that are relational to the service. And also the blogs we're going to write, we're going to talk about the area we serve. When we go to one of these blogs, right, what we have is we have these attractions nearby we're going to write about. And the reason why we're doing this is because this is going to add geo relevance to our website. Because we're talking about these specific attractions in this specific city around this specific area, right? And then we have multiple blogs of things you want to visit while in Portland, Oregon, right? And we're all linking to our main service page, our stump grinding service in Portland, Oregon. It's going to tell Google more and more, okay, they serve Portland, Oregon. Having all of these internal links point to that one page is just going to boost it more, more, and more. Now, there does come in a point where having all of these internal blogs and all of these internal links to our money pages will stop working. It's not going to, like, you can't just keep making blogs and internally linking them to continue to boost your money page. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to build those pages, and then once we start to see that that's not working, this is when we know that we need to start building more backlinks to these pages. This is also where we can start to get to ranking secondary terms, right? So let's say we build out these 5 pages, we build out these 5 blogs, and we're pointing them all towards our money page, and we start ranking number 1 for our money page. Then we can start doing some secondary services, and we can start building blog content around that and start pointing into that as well. Or instead of a second service, we can start turning one of our area pages, our location pages, into a second money page, and we can start trying to rank in that area. On our blog content, I love doing what are called author cards. And why we do this is to show Google, hey, this blog is about this content. The author is the owner. Everything on this blog content is from the author, right? And we're just trying to build up that person. In this example, it's Marcus Aurelius. We're trying to build up that person so Google knows, okay, they are an expert in this field, in this area, about all of these topics and things. So when we go to look at the schema here, what we can see here is, so we've got a type, right? We're telling Google, hey, this is a blog, right? We're giving it the link. We're giving it the headline. We're giving it a little short description. In this description, we can put more relevance, more geo terms. We can keep adding more content about what this is. Here we've got an image object. We've got the URL of the image. We're telling Google more about this image. We've got a caption. We can put more information in this. We can put another like 2 to 3 sentences. We also have keywords, specific keywords for this page. Then we also have potential actions. We've got citations where we got the information from, mentions, right? We're telling Google, hey, this blog mentions these places. And then again, here we're linking to the Wikipedia. So Google already knows what this is and what this is about. And we're telling it, hey, this blog, because we're linking it same as, is about this thing you already know about. And this helps Google just quickly understand what our page is about. So we've got all of that. And I like doing these author cards because it tells Google blog is by this owner of this company. Then when we go down here, what we want to make sure is that whenever we're interlinking, we want to use anchor text that is relevant to the search term we're trying to rank for. What you'll notice is that in these blogs is that we're going to use keywords or keyword variations of the terms, the keywords that we want to rank for when people search in Google. So here we got grinding out a stump. We want the anchor text, what is highlighted for when people click it and are taken to another page. We want that to be relevant to the search term we're trying to rank for. Then, not only that, we want all of our blog content to link to each other, and then all of them to link to the money page. Then, because everything's interlinked to each other, whenever Google goes to crawl it, not only do we have our hub page, but then we also have everything interlinking to each other, so Google can easily go and crawl and find all the URLs necessary. And then also, because we're interlinking everything, when Google goes to crawl, everything's going to be super efficient for it and super easy. So then it's also going to find our links to our money page quicker. So we've got that. Also in phase 4, we're going to build the about page. Now, this is a page that's going to tell Google what about the company, who we are, what we do, who the owner is, more information about the owner, right? What college do they graduate from? What licenses does the owner have? What does the owner know about? This is just going to give more and more information to Google about us, about the company, and it's going to give us a more authority, right? Because we're telling Google not only on page, but we'll see if it's in the schema for this page, is what the owner knows about. who is the owner? So I don't think I've done it on this phase yet. No, I haven't. So we'll have to, they'll probably be in phase 5 or 6. And so as we go through all of these, what we'll see is we've got the image, we've got a decent amount of content, right? When we go and look here, 1,300 words, which is great. It's relevant. It's talking about the service, the top level service that we offer. And then when we go down here, what we're going to see is that it all links to our money page. And we're just going to slowly create this content, not only adding like geo relevance, but also adding more relevance about the service and our knowledge of the service to, and we're all going to link all to our money page. So we got here, down here, got another new. Then down here's another anchor text to our money page. We've got our related articles, so all of our blogs are linking to each other. We're still putting our author cards on all of our blogs, so it makes sense that the owner knows about this, the owner wrote this, we're putting the date, and then just each time we've got a link to our money page and we've got a link to the other articles, so everything's interlinked, and Google completely understands and is boosting that page. Okay, so that is the end of phase 4. So we've started to add a blog, we've added an about page, and what we're starting to do is we're starting to point all of these links to our money page so that we can start to boost the page because we're adding all of this relevance about these services we offer, right? We're going around and we're talking about other things that are relational to our service. So as an example, what to plant after a tree stump is removed. And we're telling Google, hey, so we know about this, we know what to do after our service. And then in that body of the content, we're also going to link to our page. And by doing this, we're just going to slowly more and more boost that page. Now, at some point, it's going to stop working. Then we also build out the about page so we can tell Google more about the owner, about us, what we do, how long we do it, what we're expert at. And that's phase 4. So now this is phase 5 of how I would rank a stump grinder in Portland, Oregon. So what we're going to see here on the home page is we got an image in the hero section. We're just going to continue to add more and more schema, more content to our pages from the other phases that we've gone through. We can see that we got local business, professional service, we got the name. We've got now in our schema, the areas we serve, we've started to link to their Google Knowledge Graph IDs, and we've also started to link to their Wikipedia links and the Wikidata links. And this is going to tell Google, hey, the areas we serve are in relation to these other 3 links. These links you already know a lot about. These are already in your knowledge graph, your link graph. So when Google comes to crawl the page and it sees a URL and it sees same as or area served, it knows, okay, this thing I already know about, that's the area they serve. Then also what we started to do is we started to add some same as schema. Now for the same as schema, what we're doing is we're telling Google, hey, all of these social profiles that we have, these profiles are ours. And so what it can do is once it goes and sees the information on those social profiles, it can then relate that back to us and know, okay, hey, this is an actual business. They've got all of this information. They've got all these social profiles. These are all in relation to this specific business. It can start building out its knowledge graph and can start building out its link tree around us. In phase 5, what I like to do is I like to start building out more and more information about the founder, the owner, right? As we can see here, I've named him Marcus Aurelius, and we've put his title. We've also put a little bit of a ISA certified arborist, right? We're telling Google, hey, we're certified in this. This is the main thing that we do. This is the service we offer. And so we also say, hey, it works for this business. We've got the image schema in here. We've got the description. We're telling Google we're certified. We're serving Portland, Oregon Metro. We do stump grinding jobs personally. Then we're also telling it what we knows about. We've got some same as. So now we have same as for the business, right? For the business social profiles. But now we also need same as for the owner's personal profiles. We're also going to go into the credentials of the owner in the schema, so Google knows that we went to school, we have these certifications, what these certifications are recognized by, we can see here. And we're just going to keep feeding Google more and more information about us. So we can see here, type, educational, occupational, credential. We got a license, Oregon landscape contract license. So the type, government organization, name, and then we also got a URL to the organization that we got this license from. We're also going to tell Google, hey, this owner is a member of this organization. This organization's name is the International Society of Arboriculture. And we also have a URL. Then we also have a same as. And when we go here and we click this and we go this same as, we can see that Google already has this Wikipedia page and knows everything about, Google already knows about this society. What we're also going to tell Google is where we graduated from. We graduated from college, Oregon University. We're also going to give a link to it right now. We're also going to tell Google, hey, what language we know. We're going to tell them what we know about. So these stump grinding, arborists, trees, and all this Wikipedia data. Okay, so that's that. And that's just on the home page. We're going to start adding more FAQ to the home page. We're just going to include more about us. What areas do we cover? We also have FAQ schema. If we scroll all the way down here to the bottom, all these questions are being answered. And they're also being answered on the page. Now in this phase 5, we're starting to add more and more information to our footer. We're going to start going to our service areas, blog, and about pages. We've started to add more FAQ. We're just slowly building more and more about us. This is our main service page. The top level keyword we're trying to target is stump grinding in Portland, right? We're going through here and we're making sure that we are bolding the keyword that we're trying to target. We're bringing up different keyword variations on the page. We're using listicles because listicles are a ranking factor. Then we're also going to bold Portland, just the area we serve. We got a little FAQ here. We've got our review card. Again, there's a whole bunch of free content on there. As we can see, this page has 3,500 words. But when we come and look at it, it doesn't look like that much. And that's because the way I structure my pages is that I don't want to take away from the customer's experience on my website. So what I like to do is I like to place the content, the SEO optimized content, in a way that doesn't hinder their experience. So what I like to do is I will put these review sections that are scrollable. Now, if you just come by here and scroll real quick, all you'll see is this, and then it doesn't take away from your experience because it's not a skyscraper page, right? This doesn't keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling so that I can fit all of the word count on the page that I need to, all of the heading tags, all the listicles, all the bolded, italicized terms on page. Instead, what I can do is I can take review data, which is already something that I want on page, so I can convert people because it's a trust signal, and I can instead have it here in a scrollable box, so that way I'm not having to go and create these skyscraper articles, right? And then also, because I'm pulling the reviews, I can also pull photos for people to see the work that I've done, right? So let's say they do want to scroll these reviews and look through what everyone wrote, they can also look at the work that's been done and get an understanding of what quality service we offer. We're going to look at the schema and see what was added here. City. So then now on our locations page, we're going to start to build this out, right? We're going to start making it a little bit more stylized. So as we can see here, we also have these zip codes listed. And this is just to help tell Google, hey, these are the areas we serve, right? Not only are we going to use the name of the city, we're going to use the Wikidata, and we're going to use the Wikipedia links so Google knows and has a better understanding. But we're also going to have the area codes on page. So then Google goes, it's like, oh, okay, this page is in this area, right? These certain area codes for this city. We also are starting to add more and more FAQ. We also have these areas served. We're going to start pushing out more. So on our locations pages, what we can see here is that we've got our city and we got the state. Then we got down here the neighborhoods that are in this city. We've got the zip codes that are in this city. We're starting to get some listicles, and we're starting to bold some terms on here so we can start to rank in this area, this city, right? We're going to have our heading tags be stump grinding jobs, stump grinder. We got another stump keyword there. We're adding some reviews so we can get the content on the page up. We've got some FAQs on page. And then also on our locations pages, what we want to do is very similar to our blogs and our service pages, is that we want them to all interlink to each other so that Google can go and easily find all of them. None of our pages are orphaned. All of our pages are going to be easy to crawl. We're going to get full crawl depth because we have these silos or these hubs. So we have our locations hub. Then on all of our locations pages, we have them interlinking. Then when Google goes to crawl one, it will find all the links to the others. When it goes and crawls, let's say it goes and crawls two. Two has linked to the other pages as well. So they're all interlinked. So it's super easy for Google to go and find and crawl all of our pages, all of our URLs, because they're all interlinked. No page is orphaned. Now, we do want these location pages to all link to our money page. So currently our money page is Stump Grinding Oregon. And then we can see that here with this anchor text, professional stump grinding, that's what we're doing. Then we also have all the nearby areas. And then as we go through all of our locations areas, we got all the different zip codes, all the different neighborhoods. Then we also, again, we're interlinking everything so that we get a full crawl depth every single time Google comes by. We're linking to our money page. Same thing again. We have all of these locations pages, and we're all interlinking, and they're all talking about that specific area with that specific service. And then it also has the zip code on there. That's our locations page. Then we're going to go to our blog, and we're going to see here we've got our blog. This is all of the relational content to our top level keyword that we're trying to target, which is Stump Grinding Portland, Oregon. And in here we've got links to not only the other blogs, but similar to our locations, we're going to have all of our blogs interlink, and all of them are going to link to the money page individually. So as an example, this page, this blog, is going to link to two others, but it's also going to link to our money page right here. And so we've got all of that. Then we're starting to build out more and more the about page. On the about page, we've got more information about the owner. We are going to start listing his credentials, his memberships. Let's look in the schema. So in our schema, what we're doing is we're telling Google more and more about us. Like we said before, is that this is a person, this is Marcus Aurelius, this is his name, his job title, who he works for, and then we also got some image schema right here. We're giving Google a description of who we are, what we're about, the credentials that we have. We're also going to tell it what school we went to, where we graduated from college, what we're a member of. We're also going to tell it the organizations that we're a member of. This is telling Google, hey, we graduated from this college, we know this language, and then we know about these things. And we're also going to link to them with the Wikidata, the Wikipedia, and the Google Knowledge Graph ID right there. And so as we can see from the other phases, what we're doing is we're just slowly adding more and more content on the pages. We're starting to branch out a little bit more, get diversified in some areas, starting to extend away a little bit from the top level keyword, but we're still staying in that realm, or what would be considered like a knowledge graph around that topic. And we're using this to create the blog content to interlink to our money page to tell Google, hey, this is what we're about, this is what we service, this is what we do. We're giving Google more information about the owner, right? He knows about stump grinding, he knows about tree service, he's graduated from college, he's a member of this society, and then we link to that society, and when Google goes into that link, Google will then know, oh, okay, so he's a part of this arborist society, and then from that Wikipedia link, Google has all that information that it can use in relation to us. Phase 6 of how I would rank a stump grinder in Portland, Oregon. So now on our page, on our homepage, we've got all of our trust signals. We're starting to get a whole bunch of reviews on here. We're using the review icons from the Google Business Review profiles so that people can see that these are actually real people leaving these reviews. We're not just making them up, right? We're starting to list, hey, these are the certifications we have. We're licensed and bonded. We're insured. How many jobs we've done. We're just giving all of these conversion rate optimizations and also these trust signals, not only to the people that visit the site, but also to Google, because Google is going to come and read this like, oh, so they do cleanup, they do haul off, they have same day quotes, right? Now we're going to start getting into adding more images, right? Displaying what we do, the service we offer. We're also going to have this so that people know, okay, what do I need to do to get my stump ground? Why people call us. This is all to convert, right? We're talking about their pain points. When I go and I start a new service or a new business category I haven't worked in before, what I will do is I will go and data mine a couple hundred, maybe to like 2,000 reviews. And from this review data that I get off of Google Business Profiles, what I can do is I can identify the pain points that people experience with other providers for this service. From this, I know what copy I need to put on the site to convert people because I've already gone through these 2,000 reviews and I already have an understanding of what is their pain points, right? They hate when people leave a mess in their yard, which makes sense, right? I wouldn't want to mess in my lawn. They also commonly complain about people not showing up on time, getting ghosted, right? And so these are the pain points we want to address on our page. So for when the person comes and views it, they convert and they purchase our service. So then again, we're also going to start on the site. We're going to start including more images, right? So now we have an image of someone grinding a stump. This link takes us to our services page. Then for our locations, our areas served, right? We're going to start using more appropriate photos that identify them. These all are going to link to our location pages. We're also going to start including photos of the owner, Marcus Aurelius. We're going to include a little short little description, why you started. Now we're also going to include the reviews, right? On this page, we are able to easily get 3,400 words, but when you come and look at it, there's really not that much. And that's because I like to use the structure of placing a lot of the content below the fold. I don't want to remove the experience of my customer on the page because I want to SEO optimize it. I am going to put it below the fold. I'm going to put it in areas that customers are less likely to frequent, like the FAQ. I can go in here and I can add maybe like 8 more FAQ questions that will address their questions, but also at the same time, I can get verbose in my response to the question so that I can hit my word count on page. I can hit my keyword density on page. I can hit my bolded terms on page. As you notice when we go through these reviews, what you can see is I've done just that, right? I've got stump grinding bolded. I've got bolded. And these are all factors that will help me rank. And then also I have all these images of previous work done. So if someone does take the time and scroll through all these reviews, they're going to see these previous jobs I've done. What I also like to do because of this is now that I have all these images from all these reviews, I also have the review icons that people left reviews on my profile, right? I can then go grab that image and then I can also put alt text around that image and get more content, more keywords, more everything on page in relation to the service that I offer and in the areas that I offer it, right? So as we can see here, I just got maybe like 300 free words on page just because I did alt text on those icon photos. Then on the photos that I have for my location pages or my services, what we can see here is I can get more content. These are actually a little light. I would probably get like another 2 or 3 more sentences in here being more and more descriptive of the photo, right? But now when we start to get down here to the photos left by other people, I can start referencing them, right? A photo from Randy showing the tree stump we grounded in this area, right? We can start talking about our services with these photos in the alt text, getting more of that keyword in on our pages, getting that keyword density up, and not only that, just getting more and more content, more information on the page. Look at all this free word count I get in my alt text because I took the time and I went and I just put alt text on my images, and because of the way I structure my pages, I have it such that all of it is just knocked out easily, right? Now I have this template, or this card, I like to call it, this card of this reviews in this scrollable box that I can have all of this content in, and I can reuse this across my site. Even on other pages, if I want to target a certain word, change the alt text to match that keyword I'm trying to target. And it'll become all more relevant and help me rank because I have all of this information on the page. Now we're starting to get into a serious level of advanced schema. So when people make this assertion that schema doesn't help you rank, it's 100% because it does not look like this. This is how Google reads my page. Google understands the relations between my page because I've taken the time to explain everything that is occurring on my website. And when we go and look at this schema, what I do is I will include these URLs that link to these Wikipedia pages that Google already knows everything about. I'm also going to link to these other resources that Google knows about that it uses to develop its understanding of a service or a product. So look at this. All of this information is free because I went and took the time to link to it. And I don't have to put this on my page, but because I linked to it, I instantly get all of that information that is on that page, and that is all relevant to the thing that I'm offering, the thing that I'm doing. So what we can see here is because Wikipedia has a stump grinder, a tree care, arboriculture, I don't know, I'm butchering that. Yeah, it's a landscaping, like these entities, right? I can link to them and get all of that content and all of that information Google already knows about, and Google knows that I'm about that thing instantly without me having to put it on my page. And this is just another way to get more and more content, more and more relevance, more and more authority because I'm linking out to these things Google already knows a ton about, and I'm linking exactly to those sources of information. So then also we're going to go through, I've got my telephone, I've got my email, we're doing our price range. We're going to also start doing some image schema. This is just another way of me getting more and more information, more of my keywords, my keyword variations, LSI, entities on page. So we can see here, got a description. We're also going to tell it what currencies we take, what payments we accept, the language we know. And we're also going to link to our map for sure, our address. We're going to get geolocations, contact points, how to contact us. Then we're going to go into our area served. Same thing as before. We're going to link to these Wikipedia pages that Google already knows about so it can relate those to us. So we serve the area of Oregon. We're going to have a short description of Oregon. We're going to have a URL to our service area. And then we're also going to use these identifiers, these property values, this Google machine ID. This knowledge ID is going to tell Google, because Google has this internally, right? And so we're going to specifically target that, address it by using this property ID. Like, hey, this thing we're saying is this thing you already know about. That, and then they identify that knowledge base or that knowledge point with these machine IDs. And this is what we're doing in our schema is we're linking to all of this. We got our area served, identifier, property value, machine ID, knowledge graph ID, right? All of these cities, Google has these specific identifiers, how it categorizes all of this information internally, and we're going to link directly to that so that it gets a better understanding of what we do, where we serve. So we're just going to keep going through here. every city. We're going to have all of these links to these external sources. Next, we're going to move into the knows about. This is my favorite because we're literally telling Google, hey, these are the things that we know about. We're going to give it a description, and we can get pretty verbose in here. Not only that, but then we're also going to link to it again via these URL links to these Wikipedia pages and these Wikidata pages, because these are all of these knowledge bases that Google already has, and we're going to link to them and be like, hey, we know about this thing. Oh, and Google's gonna be like, oh, okay, so this page I have with all this information, cool, you know about all these things. I know about all these things too. We're going to relate these things to you now. Boom, right here, right? Property value, now a Google machine ID, we got a value, and we're just going to keep going. So here, stump grinding, tree stump, tree care, arboriculture, I'm butchering that, arborists, roots, right? Roots of a tree, wood chips, mulch, land clearing, pruning, lawn, right? These are all things we know about. These are all things that we deal with daily, right? And in all of our, when we ever go to provide our services, right? Because most of the time, tree stumps are in lawns, okay? So now, I want to show you real quick. If we were to look at stump on our page, we have 511 instances of the word stump on our page. There is no way Google's not going to read this page and know that this page is about stumps, okay? Now, we're also going to do the other variations of our keyword, or the top level keyword we're trying to target, stump grinding. We have it 62 times on our page. And this is so Google has an exact understanding of what we offer and the keyword we're trying to target and to rank us for, right? So we're going to go back to the schema, and we can see that it also has an offer catalog. So in this offer catalog, this is what we're telling Google, hey, these are the things that we offer, right? For right now, we're only targeting a few keywords, right? The top level is stump grinding. We're going to have a little description about this. We also have a link to our URL. We're telling, hey, Google, this website offers this service at this URL. Here's a little short description about it. And then here's where you need to go to get more information about it. Area served. Then we also have a stump removal, right? What we can also do is with our services, we can include these variations of the top level, right? So we can do stump removal, tree stump removal, tree stump grinding, stump grinding. We can have this so that we can get more information on these pages. And then we also have this URL link to those service pages. So we got stump removal, root grinding, we got all this information. Now, because I put Marcus Aurelius as the founder, every time I read this, I find it hilarious. So in this founder schema, we got the name, given name, family name, additional name, right? We got all this different information about the owner, the founder. We got the job title, who he works for. We got a image of him, right? Then we have a URL, a little about on the about page. So we have a URL link to that. We've got his email, phone number. And then we have this ginormous verbose description. And then we also have a disambiguating description. This is probably like 2 paragraphs of content in each of these on the page, and only Google sees this. This is not taking away from the customer's experience. This is just putting more information for Google to get a better understanding of what the owner knows about what he does. It's a description of the owner, right? Then we can move into the knows about. He knows about stump grinding. Here's a verbose description of the thing he knows about. Here's the URL link to all of this Wikidata and Wikipedia information you know about, and you can relate that to me. And then we're also going to do the Google machine ID. Then he knows about tree stumps. He knows about tree care. He knows about arboriculture. He knows about being an arborist. He knows about roots. He knows about pruning. He knows about trees. He knows about canopies, ornamental trees, urban forest, right? Timber, tree planting, wood chips, mulch, soil, land clearing, landscaping, chainsaw, power tools. He knows about power tools because he uses a giant stump grinder to grind the stumps, right? Building all of this information, and then we'll go back to the visual. So this will kind of tie it together so it makes more sense. This is basically the knowledge graph that we're trying to build for Google, so Google has a total coverage of who we are, what we're about, what we do where we serve, what services we provide. I basically want my schema to be a second website. I want Google to never have to even crawl my pages because I have so much schema that it gets the absolute deep understanding it requires to rank me. I actually still want Google to crawl my pages, but I'm just to make it make sense of why we put so much there, right? So Marcus Aurelius knows about hand tools. He knows about tools, heavy equipment, right? The stump grinders are heavy equipment. He knows about excavators, feller bunching, right? Forest management. We got all these other things that he knows about, and we're just getting more and more information on the page. We also got his same as to his personal profiles. We got some awards that he's won, right? The alumni he's a member of. He's got all these credentials, and so Marcus Aurelius, just has all of this information in relation to about him. So then Google can just go and read this in their own language that they've all put together and get a better and instant, deep understanding of who this person is. Right? He's got some awards. We've got the aggregate rating, and then we've got some review schema on here. And then at the bottom, a little bit of FAQ. Okay, so we're gonna move in the service area, blog, about, and then we're also gonna come down here a little bit. Then when we get to this point, right, we've got our email listed. We've got our address listed in the footer. We got our hours. We have our license, bonded, and insured across the page, getting those trust signals, authority signals on page. Then we also have all of our licensing, right? We want to reference the licensing numbers that we have to signal to Google, hey, we are licensed. Here's our licensing numbers, so you understand, and just gives more and more trust signals to Google to have an understanding, hey, we're a legit business. What I like to do is I like to have a HTML sitemap, and then also I like to have a XML sitemap. I like to have an HTML sitemap in addition to a regular XML sitemap. This is just for Google to go to get all of the possible URLs that we have on page. Okay, this is phase 6. So then now we're going to start going to our hub pages, get a total better understanding of what is going on. So we got all of these trust signals, right? Then we have our main service. We've got our Google Maps embed again, right? Having all these pages all interlinked to that. So this is the main page that we want to rank. This is our money page. Normally I don't want the home page to rank. I want this page to rank. So when we come to it, we can see we got 3,900 words. We can see our H1 structures. We've got those H4s, those H5s, those H6 tags. A lot of the times with these AI website builders, they don't use the H4, H5, H6. And so what's coming to fruition is that you can get 6 free ranking factors just by using these H4, H5, H6s. Because so uncommonly used, we can use them, which is a ranking factor. And then not only that, we can put keywords or keyword variations into them, which then again are another ranking factor. So then we'll go down here and we'll see that we got those bolded terms, some keywords. We've also got these listicles, which is a ranking factor. We've got all this information. We start to get more images on this page, right? So on these images, we're starting to add these alt text. In my review icons, I'm adding alt text on those images of those people in there, right? Get more keywords on the page, get more information on the page. All of these service photos we can see here. I've got even more content, just more and more content, more and more words, more and more keywords. We got a photo of the owner, Marcus Aurelius. We got a little short description, and how he's bonded. Then we've got all this reviews, right? We got all this review content. Then now we're gonna go, and this is our locations hub page. We got all these images. We've got a little bit more information of like the neighborhoods that are served in these areas, right? We got these nice little images that represent those areas. We've got our Google Maps embedding again. And then also for these images, we've got alt text on them. Now we could bump this up a little bit, add like 2, maybe even 3 more sentences on there. So then we're going to go and visit these individually, and we'll see we're just adding and building more and more content, building all these pages out. Boom, right here, got a photo in the background, got alt text on that. We got the city, we got the state, we got these images, we've got these neighborhoods that we serve in this city, we got the zip codes as well. And we're just adding all that geo relevance to these pages. Then we also have this card, or what you can consider it a template or a card, so that all of our location pages interlink to each other so that we ensure that we get a deep crawl depth every single time Google comes by to crawl our pages. So we got all of these, and then also because we do it this way, these images can also have another round of alt text, right? And so we can just slowly build out more and more of all of our content on the website, all of our schema and everything. So across the board, when Google and sees everything and starts to index and starts to understand more about our website, we have so much of this content relevant to not only the area we serve, but the service we provide. It all will help us rank. And so these are all of our location pages. And then this is our blog hub, right? These are just going to be used to all interlink to our money page. It's also going to show Google more of our authority around the topic, right? Because we have so much of this content, so much of this information. We're talking about different things in the content, right? One day we're talking about what to plant after you get a tree stump removed. The next, we're also going to talk about main attractions in the area. Then also on these blogs, we're going to do author schema. Marcus Aurelius wrote this. This is all this information about Marcus Aurelius. Again, here we go. We've got a description, a disambiguous description, and then we also have all of the things he knows about on this page. And so even only visible to us currently, we can see that there's only 1,400 words. When we go to actually view the page source, and because we have all of this schema and all of this content on the page, there's actually a ton more information for Google to get a better understanding, right? We also got a little FAQ, some FAQ schema on there as well. And again, we got an image, we got some alt text on that. If this was an actual site, I would have way more images. This is AI. I would have way more images, and we would also have way more alt text on this, right? And so we have this attractions page to help us add that geo relevance so Google has a better understanding of the area we serve, right? By talking about these areas, these service attractions in that city, and then linking to our city page, our money page, which is Stump Grinding Portland, Oregon, we're sending all of this authority, all of this relevance, all this geo relevance to that page. So when someone types in stump grinding near me and they are in Portland, Oregon, because we have all of this content on our page, all of this information on our page, Google will know, hey, they serve Portland, Oregon, and we need to rank them there, right? And again, just all of this blog content, all of this stuff on this page to help us rank. Then now, so we're going to build up more and more of this about page, right? Because we want Google to know more about us, about the owner, what he does, what he's an expert at. And so as we start to build out all of this information, Google will get a way better understanding of who we are. Look at all these credentials and memberships about Marcus Aurelius. All of this information. Not only does this help for when potential customers come to view, but it's also all information that we can give Google about us. One thing I wanted to mention is that this author card is also another signal because we put that Marcus Aurelius, the owner, wrote this blog. Google will relate that to him in his knowledge about this topic. And so that is the full guide of how I would rank a stump grinder in Portland, Oregon.